Hello, and nice meeting you all. My name is Ali Nazem, Vice President of ShowCard. Thank you for allowing me to introduce myself. Quickly, before we start, I wanted to get a show of hands of how many people have had or been a victim of identity theft or had their accounts hacked. So I'm sure people that haven't raised their hand, they know that there's been a lot more. But we all can agree that there's a big problem around identity management. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how ShowCard is trying to solve that. So ShowCard is a digital identity platform that's built on top of the mobile device, that's built on top of the blockchain. It's an app that a user can download to store and share their identity with various entities, to do transactions, access services, log into a website without username and password. We do this for both cyber access as well as physical access. We work with hospitals and physical security companies that get access to buildings, and doctors and clinicians access to records and devices. The company is based on two key principles, and that's security and privacy. So from a security standpoint, we don't house a central database that could be hacked or breached, exposing millions of different records. We realize that that's a treasure trove for hackers. And what we do is we utilize the blockchain for validation purposes only. We never put anything on the blockchain that could be reverse engineered or brute force discovered. We utilize, and then from a privacy standpoint, we maintain all the personal information on the device. It's encrypted and protected by the private key. So what we've built with ShowCard is a federated ID system, and our customers can interact with us in three main ways. They can integrate our solutions into their existing infrastructure through our SDK for iOS, Android, and server-side applications. They can also white label our solutions, and we also have a white label. We also have a standalone solution that can be downloaded. So real quick, it just requires 4 separate things to set up. It's something that you remember, and access control in the form of Touch ID that most phones have. But then we also capture biometrics to identify a real person, and we grab a government ID. And what we do is we load that up onto the ShowCard, and what we call that's a self-certification. It's a self-attestation that this is my data and this is who I claim to be. But that by itself doesn't prove a lot. I can't self-declare myself to get onto an airplane or open up a bank account. Very much like the physical world, where you present your credentials to a trusted authority, whether it's a government entity, a bank, a mobile operator, an airline. When you go to the airport, you physically give them your passport or driver's license. They do a visual inspection, and if everything passes, they let you proceed. Same thing at a bank. When you open up a bank account, they look at your documents. But what we do is we go one step further in allowing that data to be certified by a trusted authority, and then giving you that certification so it helps enable reuse. So you don't have to keep presenting your credentials over and over again each time you want to prove your identity. So based on that same concept, well, why the blockchain? Certainly you can use traditional databases, SQL servers, Oracle databases to do this, but the power of the blockchain, as most of you all know, is the distributed nature of it, and allowing these disparate entities to be able to store and share data without having a central database. It also puts the control of the data in the user's hands, and they can share just the data that they want with the people they want. A really basic example of that is you go to a bar. You just want to show that you're over 21 to get a drink. You don't need to show them your address, your height, weight, all that other personal information. You just need, you can just show those, that one thing about your age. So with the concept that I showed previously, we load up the ShowCard-enabled app with your government ID, your biometrics, and what we do is we hash all of the metadata on the ID, and what we do is we create a hash of each individual field, and we sign that using the private key of the device. We add a salt, and we digitally sign that with the private key of the device and add that to the blockchain. That's the self-certification. Then the concept was you show a trusted authority. In this case, it happens to be a bank, and the bank will then certify all those data fields and certify that and put that on the blockchain. Now, subsequently, you go to a second bank. You don't have to prove ownership of a bank account Right now, you go and do some micropayments for ACH. You have to report back in a few days to see how much those amounts were. Or worse yet, when you open up a Coinbase account and they have to prove ownership of a bank account, you have to give them the username and password of your bank, which you really don't want to do. This is a way for you to be able to prove your identity without having to expose that personal information. What the second bank then can just verify your credentials against the blockchain. If everything matches, then they can allow you to proceed. They can allow you to open up a bank account and access services as well. This can be translated to a broader ecosystem where you have a credit reporting agency like Equifax. You don't need to have them exposing all your personal data. You just want to show that you can prove your identity. Same thing with a merchant. You buy a $2,000 TV, you want to make sure that you are who you say you are before they mail that out. And so that's the other certifier. So you can have this broader ecosystem of people that certify, and each certification helps build your profile and make you a more viable person. Really quick, we've got patented technology. This is one of the first things that we did 3 years ago when the company was established. We've got 3 patents that have been filed and accepted. We've got 3 additional that are pending and 17 provisionals. So we have really robust technology. We've got some the companies. There's a select list of companies that we're working with. From a travel standpoint, we're working with Emirates and SITA. From a banking perspective, we're working with Bank Al Jazeera, Credit Info Group. And from a physical hardware security side, we're working with RFIDs. But there are a lot of other companies that we're working with, and from confidentiality reasons, we can't expose their names, but they're 2 of the largest credit card companies and some of the largest banks in the US. Finally, I just want to touch on that we're doing an ICO. We started the pre-sale 2 weeks ago, and we're going to utilize we're doing it a more traditional way that's going to be in line with SEC regulations. It's a SAFT. And we're following the SEC rules to protect investors and the company. As I mentioned, the product's been in market for over 2 years. We've got real customers, and we've got a very experienced team of advisors and backed by real VCs. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them after when I get down, and we've got a booth back there, so please come by and talk to us. Thank you.